A couple things before we get started, just a few announcements. You guys, the 6 Weeks to Your Greatest You program signups are coming up soon. For the RSVP list, the waiting list, they go on not this coming Friday, but the following Friday. They will have 2 to 3 days to sign up before everybody else does. I'm only doing 20 people, only taking 20 people with this group. So if you're really interested in doing this program, I encourage you to get on that RSVP waiting list. More than likely not, those spots will be filled from that. Any available spots, any remaining spots will be available the following Monday, which is like the 28th-ish, I think. Trash Day is coming up soon. We have less than 2 weeks to go until International Trash Pickup Cleanup Day. And for those of you who've done this event in the past, it is such a cool thing to see. I mean, we've literally had hundreds of people from all over the world. You know, I think the 1 year we did it, we had all 6 continents, everywhere but Antarctica participated. We had something like 35 countries. We had, I think, 30-plus states. It's a really, really cool thing to do. And so as our 1,000 Challenge community is growing, it's something that I really want to get back to doing more community events like this. And I think we can really become, you know, models for change and what's possible. So those of you who have been inviting friends and sharing it, I really, really appreciate it. Those of you who are thinking about doing it, get in there, get some friends to join in and do it. And lastly, just before we get into it, I wanted to acknowledge all the people who did the Flat Belly Challenge. We had 30 amazing people sign up. We had hundreds of pounds lost, over 100 inches lost, and just some amazing, amazing transformations. And I hope you guys got a chance to read the story of the person who actually won the challenge. I posted it last week on the 1000 Challenge page. Really, really inspiring stuff. And I've gotten a lot of emails about when I'm going to do the next one. The next one will be probably late September, early October. We'll do one more for the year, and then that will be it for the year. So if you have any ambition about doing that, you want to get a jump start on New Year's resolutions, I encourage you to check it out and participate when it comes up. Okay, staying positive when you feel like everything is crashing down around you. Staying positive when you feel like everything is crashing down around you. This is a really, really important subject to talk about, and it's something that all of us experience at some point, including myself, you guys. And I will tell you this right now. There are a lot of people out there who are in the positive power industry, personal development, whatnot, and they seem like, I've gotten emails from before from people saying, well, how do you even relate to me? You just seem so happy, you seem so positive all the time. You don't even know what it's like to have a hard time, blah, 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 blah. Everybody goes through this, you guys. Every single human being out there. I believe even the Dalai Lama at some point has those moments where, or at least before he got to the Dalai Lama status, where they thought they thought that the world was crashing down around him. That it just seemed like everything was going to heck, and there was no escape, there was no coming back from it or anything like that. So this is something we all experience at some point. Now the key is when we're in this place, when we feel like everything is crashing down around us, when we feel like the world as we know it is coming to the end, the first thing we have to do with this, we absolutely have to, if we want to make a positive change and we want to get away from this, is we have to look at our language. We have to look at the language we use, because when we use words like everything, right, we're starting to talk in absolutes, and it makes it seem like literally everything around us is going down. Everything around us, the world's going to shit, and what are we going to do? How can we do it if everything's going down? The problem with words like everything when we're talking about something like this is when we use everything, everything eventually leads to all the time, and all the time leads to never. Okay, and what do I mean by that? When I'm saying everything is coming down, everything is going wrong in my life. Okay, everything is going wrong in my life. That means, you know, when I'm brushing my teeth, I'm stabbing my cheek. It means when I'm going to wash the dishes, the glasses are breaking and they're slicing my hands. It means when I'm going out to go to work every day, I'm hitting traffic and I'm 10 minutes late, or my tire's flat, or something like that, okay? Every little thing. It means when I'm going to go to pee and I have to go really bad, and normally when I start to do the pee-pee dance, I have 2 minutes to get there. Well, for some reason, the pee-pee dance shakes it out and I end up peeing my pants. Okay, I'm purposely being over dramatic here because that's what everything entails, right? And then when we're using language like everything, that eventually leads to all the time. And what does that mean? All the time things are wrong. All the time things are horrible for me. All the time. And we start to forget all the times in our life that things were good, because we're so consumed by everything all the time being bad. And then once we're on that path, once we've used everything, once we've used all the time, eventually we get to never. I'll never feel okay. I'll never be happy. I'll never smile. I'll never have this. I'll never have that. I'll never have the relationship I want. I'll never be in shape. I'll never lose the weight. I'll never make the money. I'll never go on the vacation. I'll never, 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 never. You guys know how it goes, right? Because we've all been there. So when we use language like everything and all the time and never, it is putting us on the fast track to Disasterville. How are you going to be happy? How are you going to make a change if everything all the time and never is happening to you? Right? That's the time when you get to the place where, oh my God, why do I even get up anymore? Okay? The reality is it's really not everything all the time, never. It's just what we're telling ourselves. So if we look at our language and we acknowledge, we're really honest with ourselves, and we acknowledge the language that we're using, and the language that we're using is not the most empowering and forward-moving language, it gives us some space to make a change. How we start to make that change is we do something really, really important here. We take an inventory of our real reality. Okay, you take an inventory of your real reality. And what does that mean? When we get into that everything mindset, right, that everything all the time, never, everything is going wrong, everything is crashing down around us, everything is going to shit, whatever it is, we forget about all the things that are still good, are still positive. The fact that we have words and we can vocalize that's a pretty positive thing. The fact that we have air to breathe, the fact that we still have a heart that's beating, the fact that we have a computer or an internet connection to interact with each other here. I mean, and looking and seeing the people who've signed in, over half of you are from around the world. Okay, I don't know how many people on here right now, but over half of you are from around the world. That's pretty remarkable that, you know, all of us who are scattered out thousands of miles apart can come together and we can have this conversation together. That's something pretty positive, that we have that technology and that we have had the ability to access those resources, right? So what that means is when you're taking an inventory of your real reality, you sit down and you start writing down all the things that are good, all the things that are right in your life, everything that is positive, everything that is happy, or everything that is still working. Okay, and you start with the basics. You literally get down to the basics. I can breathe, I can see, I can smell, I can taste, I have food in my refrigerator, I have legs I can walk on, I have fingers that I can count off with like this, okay? I have a watch on my wrist that I can tell time with. I have a shirt over my body. I have teeth in my mouth so I can chew, right? I have a tongue so I can taste. I have ears so I can hear, right? All those types of things. And you start adding up. I have a roof over my head. I have a door to give me privacy. I have a lamp that I can see, have light with. I have air I can breathe. I have a window I have, you know, and keep going and going and going. What you're going to find is it's really not everything. It's really not, because we literally, if we make it a point to think about things like this, we have hundreds, if not thousands and thousands of great things going for us. Things that are keeping us alive, things that are allowing us to keep moving forward, things that are allowing us just to be here and interact. Right? I have green grass outside. I have food in my refrigerator. I have a toilet I can go to the bathroom on. I have indoor plumbing. I have a toothbrush I can brush my teeth on. And you guys, here's the thing too. There's billions of people around the world who don't have any of those things. They don't have any of those things. And I'm not saying that to minimize the stuff that's going on with us, because I've been there and I know what it's like when we have something really getting on us. It does feel like the walls are crashing in. And if we focus on that one or two things, because really when we use words like everything, it's not everything. It's really one, two, maybe a few big things, right? We have a relationship in, and then it seems like everything else is bad. Well, it's not everything else is all of a sudden bad. It's just that our heart is so heavy over the relationship that it's easy to interpret those things as such. But it's not everything. It's a few things. But when we make those few things into everything, it's so hard. We become consumed by it. It seems like the walls are closing in, closing in, closing in. It's not. You have to stop. You have to take inventory of what's going on in your life. And you have to inventory and get down to the very basics and look at all the wonderful things you do have. Because that helps to give you a scope, right? Well, shoot, I have these couple things here that are really, really tough. But I still have all this. And if I still have all this, you know, there's hope over here. There's hope over here, because these are a few things, and they're big things. They're big things, but they're not everything. They're not everything. Okay, so when you get back to this over here, when you get back to looking at all the things you do have in your life, the inventory of all the positive things you do have, it gives you some perspective to kind of reassess the language of everything. It gives you some perspective to look at your life again and say, wow, maybe the walls aren't all crashing down. Maybe the world's not completely ending. Yeah, there's some really hard, difficult things happening right now, but it's not everything. It's not everything. So after you get your inventory, okay, after you've taken this massive inventory list, and you guys, when you're doing this inventory list, I encourage you to literally just sit there and write and write and write and write. Anything that comes up, oh, there's paint on the wall. I'm grateful for that. There's carpet on my floor. That's a good thing. I like having my feet warm when I get up in the morning. I like walking around and feeling the softness in my toes. Well, speaking of my toes, I have toenails. I like toenails. I like to paint my toenails. I do not personally paint my toenails, but if you're a toenail painter, that might be something for you. That is something that's going right. And then the fact that you have polish to paint with, there's another one. And the fact that you have those little brush things that you can dip in and paint with, there's another one. And the fact that you have the toenail remover to remove the paint that you don't like, that you can do this thing over and over again, that's another one. And right there, you just got 4 or 5 things that can make you happy or excited or whatever it is from friggin' toenail paint. That's not everything. It's just a couple things. It's just a couple. Okay? And I'm getting fired up about this because this is something that's so important, you guys. It's something that's so important is it's never everything. It's never everything. But if we let those few things consume everything, it will change our whole life. In relationships, how many times have we taken our relationships? And I've worked with couples over this so many times, and I'm sure you guys have all experienced this too. And we do this sadly with our loving relationships the most. We'll take 1 or 2 things that the person does or doesn't do. We focus in on them and we make them represent everything in the relationship. And then we forget to give them credit for everything else. We forget to acknowledge everything else. Or we do it in business transactions too, right? We do it in almost all of our relationships that are significant. When that 1 or 2 things happen, we start to blow them up and make them so big. And then we forget all the other wonderful things that that person brings to the relationship. We do it all the time. In sports, right? We watch sports. We forget all the successes teams have to go up. This is such a funny thing, okay? When our team wins, when the team wins, oh, we did awesome. Oh, we did great. But when they lose, oh, they sucked. They really stunk it up tonight. Right? We're so quick to disown them when it doesn't work for us because we don't want that around. So remember, everything is not everything. It's just a few things. So after you've taken your inventory, what you want to do next is look at this massive inventory. Okay, look at this massive list you have that includes toenail polish, that includes carpet, that includes air you can breathe, eyes you can see with, okay? And then go through it and decide what to focus on that empowers you. What on this list can you focus on that empowers you? I promise you there's a few things. If you really enjoy looking at flowers, the fact that you have eyes you can see and there's flowers outside, that's something you can focus on. You know, for me, whenever I'm going through a really tough time, one of the things that I've always tried to turn to is exercise, because it allows me to just process out some of the emotional energy. Because if I don't, that shit stirs around inside me and I really feel like I'm going to explode. So for me, the way I process when I get to that everything state is I go and exercise, and I try to exercise really hard, and sometimes it's tough to get there, you guys. There are times when I wake up and I'm, oh man, I do not want to, I just want to sit here and feel sorry for myself. But every time I go and do it and move around and help myself work some of that stuff out, I feel a million times better, and it helps me get that perspective. But that's something on my list that empowers me. Another thing I'll do is I'll focus on something like this, how I can serve people, how I can help people. Okay, so even though I may be going through a tough time, even though some parts of my world may seem like they're crashing down, there's still a part of me that I can use to help others. And that empowers me, that gives me perspective. Okay, and so I'll focus on that. I'll focus on how I can serve other people, how I can help other people, how maybe I can use my experience of what I'm going through to perhaps help somebody else, to perhaps help inspire somebody or motivate them to shift their mindset from everything to just focusing on those few things. Okay? And so find what your thing is that empowers you, whether it's exercise, whether maybe it's painting, maybe it's going for a walk, maybe it's going to the gym, maybe it's helping the old lady cross the street, maybe it's, you know, talking to a friend, it's reading a book, it's whatever it is. Find something on that list that empowers you. If you can't find anything right away that empowers you, find something that makes you smile. You know, I have a library of quotes, of videos, of funny sayings or whatever for times when I feel sad, when times I feel down, that I will go and turn to when I want to help myself shift back from that, because they're resources for me. Go on YouTube and look up some videos of things that make you laugh. I remember somebody put something up the other day about the nose hair waxing one, how it made them laugh, and my singing of the Little Mermaid that made them laugh. You guys go on there and watch those things. You know, I put those on there to share my experience with you, but I also put them on there for you to use as resources, not just to learn from, but then if you need something to help make you laugh or help inspire you or help shift your focus, it's a resource for you, and I want to share them with you because I want you to use them. Okay, nothing's going to change and nothing changes. So what we know will not work, we know will not change anything, is if we just sit there and keep focusing on the problem. That is not going to solve anything. You got to look at your list, look at what empowers you, and focus on a solution. The problem with this is, and the challenge with this sometimes, is when we're getting into that everything's wrong, a lot of times we don't want to shift out of it because we start to feel significant by feeling shitty, right? And that's kind of a shitty thing to do, but we do it. Remind yourself that you, deep down in your heart, you don't want to feel this way. You don't want to feel pain. You don't want to feel sadness. You'd like to feel the other thing. So shift it back over. Look at your list and focus on those things. Use your resources out there. Okay, find what empowers you. And you guys, I see a couple of you typing on the comments. Please, please, please hold your comments. Write them down. Hold them till the end. And I will answer them all, okay? Because it's when you guys are typing, it's really distracting to me, and I can see it, and then I lose my train of thought like now. So write them all down. I promise you I'll answer everything at the end. Okay, so look at your list, look what empowers you, and try to focus on that. Next, what we have to do after that. Okay, so we know what we do. Next, we take a drink of water. Make sure we're properly hydrated, which is something that we can focus on. The fact that I have water, the fact that I have a little bottle I can drink it out of, the fact that I have a soda stream that I can pump it in and have little fizzy stuff early in the morning. There's 3, 4 things right there, right? Okay, so the fact that we have that thing, we shift it over, we look at what we know what we can focus on, we know it's going to empower us, and then we have to schedule it. We have to schedule it. We absolutely have to schedule it. You cannot leave your life to chance, you guys. I still use a paper schedule to this day, deliberately, specifically because it gives me something more physical, more tangible than a phone or a digital calendar. I do not like to be attached to my phone, or technology in general. So I have my phone. I'll check it a few times a day, typically, and then I leave it in the other room. I leave it in the other room unless I know I need to be on it, unless I know I need to use it if I'm going to be working remotely somewhere and I'm going to be using emails from it. Otherwise, I typically leave it in the other room. I don't like to be attached to it because I really want to be able to be present with people that I'm around when I'm spending time with them, and I don't want to condition myself that I have to be doing this all the time and scrolling, okay? So I use a paper calendar because it helps me stay off of that, for one, but 2, I can physically touch the paper and open it. I can look down and see my whole day and what's in front of me, and so write down these things. I will write down exercise time. I will write down, empowerment time, watch funny videos time, whatever that is. You have to put it in a schedule. You have to do it. Okay, you have to put it in there because this is your life, you guys. This is your happiness. This is your joy. This is your fulfillment. This is not something you should leave to chance. This is not something that you should leave until the timing works out or until time allows or any of that crap. You have to make the time for this. You have to. So look at your schedule and figure out what you can move around or where you can find that 10 minutes here and the 5 minutes there and the 15 minutes there. Find out where you can find these opportunities to write those things down and then put it in there and make it a priority. And you got to do it every day. Exercise this time, boom, go in and do it. Exercise this time, good, go in and do it. Watching a funny video that'll make me laugh, perfect. I'm doing it at Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 8 a.m., Tuesday and Thursday at 6 p.m. Fantastic, now I know. You have to put it in a schedule. You have to. Okay, so once you have it scheduled, once you've decided what to focus on, it's empowering you. Once you have it in your schedule, you guys, you have to have accountability. You will hear me probably say this to everything we talk about here. In all these videos, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Accountability is really going to be key. We have to have something or someone beyond ourselves to be accountable. There is a lady in the exercise accountability group, and she posted this the other day. Oh man, I can't remember what her exact story was, but she's going to be on. She has something going on where she's not going to be able to really work out much for the next month or so. Okay, and God, I was so impressed by this. And what she did, and instead of going to that place of, God, I'm so bummed out, I don't know what I'm going to do, poor me, woe is me, blah, 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 she posted something about how even though she's going to have limitations for this next little bit of time, she had, I can't remember if she bought an outfit or ticket. I think she bought tickets for a vacation she was going to take in October, November. And she had like an outfit or something that she can't fit into now, but she has it set to wear there. So she's given herself this huge goal to focus on, and she shared it with the whole group. Okay, I was so impressed by this because here's somebody who's being proactive. She's getting the situation. She's saying, okay, this is what it is, and I can accept that, but now I'm going to have something to work towards right away. So she's giving herself accountability to immediately get back as soon as she can to go right back at it. She's giving herself massive accountability. She has a whole group of people that knows what's going on. She's got the tickets and the outfit or whatever it is already bought and paid for. So she's got stuff she has to work for that's going to keep her accountable. Is she going to be more likely to succeed? Absolutely. Absolutely, because we all know. Because she has something. She's given herself a really strong emotional goal to work towards. Now, if she hadn't done that, who knows? Who knows? Right? So that's accountability. That's the power of accountability. It makes a huge, huge difference. I can tell you something too, just having run through this last flat belly challenge with people. Of the 30 people, the ones who were most successful, the ones who were more vocal about sharing what was going on, who were asking questions, who were talking with other people, accountability is key, guys. Accountability is absolutely key. And I had a ton of people after that was over email me and say, like, one of the things that really helped them be successful is having access to the group, because the group is such a global community that they could go on there any time of the day and post something, and there was somebody awake, somebody around that could respond. Accountability is key. So when you know what it is you want to focus on, and when you have it in your schedule, tell some friends, tell some family members, tell a stranger, right? Put it on your Facebook page. You know, join a group, join an accountability group, whatever it is. Have that extra accountability there that's beyond just you, because what will happen is we are so more likely to flake and quit on ourselves, but we won't do it with other people. We won't do it when we know that there's somebody else that is expecting us to do it, when there's somebody else who's looking for us to do it. We won't give up on others, but we'll give up on ourselves. So accountability is going to be absolutely crucial. Okay? Accountability is going to be absolutely crucial. When we're doing that, when we have the accountability, when you're using your accountability resources, check in often, you guys. Check in often. Let them know what your expectation is of them or of yourself. So if you're, let's say, everything's crashing around you, you know exercise helps you, you want to exercise 5 times a week, you let the person know, I'm going to exercise 5 times a week at this time of day, and when I'm done, I'm going to email you, I'm going to send you a text message. Perfect. That person knows what to expect. That person knows what to expect, and so do you. And so then if they don't get a text message from you, they can write back and say, hey, what's going on? I thought you were going to text message me. What's the deal here? Okay? Accountability is key. So just to recap, and then we'll get to questions. When we feel like everything is going wrong, when we feel like our whole world is crashing down around us, when we feel like everything is going to hell, going to shit, whatever term we want to use, first stop and look at your language. And honestly look at your language, because if you're using words like everything, everything is going to lead to all the time, and all the time is going to lead to never. And when we get to that place of never, I can never do this, I can never do that, I can never do this, I can never do that. When we use really powerful absolutes like that, we're putting ourselves basically deep in a hole. How are we going to possibly breathe if we never feel like we can breathe again? Okay, that language, that psychology that we tell ourselves is not going to help us move forward. So we have to really honestly look at our language. Everything leads all the time leads to never. We do not want to get there. So we have to really ask ourselves. We have to look at our language. We have to stop, take a deep breath. Okay, I get what I'm doing with my language. I acknowledge the language I'm using. Now let's take an inventory of what is going right in my life. Let's take an inventory of what resources I have. Let's take an inventory of my real reality, my actual reality, which is this. I can breathe, I can talk, I can see, I can hear, I can taste, I can touch. I have a shirt on my body, I have a watch on my wrist, I have a rug under my feet, I have toothpaste and toothbrush to brush my teeth so I have fresh breath. I have indoor plumbing, I have nails I can paint, right? I have colors I can color, whatever that is. But make your list long and plentiful. There are hundreds and thousands of things out there that you have that are going right, that are resources for you. Okay, we just don't focus on them when we're using language like everything. And remember, when we use language like everything, we're usually using everything to generalize one or a few things. It's not everything. It is not everything. If it is everything, you'd be dead. Right? If it was everything, your heart would stop and you would not be breathing and you'd be dead. You guys wouldn't have made it through a minute of this because oxygen would have been cut off to your brain and you would have all been dropping. Okay, and I think that just based off of how many people are showing up in here, there's a lot of you that are not experiencing everything. You might be experiencing some things, but you're not experiencing everything. Okay, so make that massive inventory list. Once you have that inventory list, you have to look at it and decide what to focus on, and that empowers you. What is like 1 or 2 or 4 things that you can focus on that empowers you? For me, it's exercise, it's helping and serving other people. For you, it might be something different. It might be gardening, it might be going for a walk, it might be reading, it might be watching funny videos, it might be listening to inspiring stuff, it might be listening to a certain type of music, it might be talking to friends on the phone, whatever that is. Figure out what those things are. It might be brushing your teeth. Who knows? Maybe you have a toothbrushing fetish. And if you do, and you feel like everything is crashing down around you and you want to make a shift, brush the heck out of your teeth. You will not only have a huge shift and get back to where you don't feel like it's everything, you will have the best breath and the shiniest teeth, and everybody's going to want to be your friend. Okay? So find out what those things are that empower you and then schedule them. You guys got to write them down, put them in your schedule. Do not leave your life to chance. Schedule, 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 schedule. 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, 15 minutes there. You need to move heaven and earth around and make them happen. All of us have the same 24 hours to work with. We all have the same 7 days a week. We all have the same 168 hours. If one person can make it happen, everybody can make it happen. And I sincerely mean that when I say everybody, because we all have time that we squander, and it doesn't take but a few minutes to focus on the things that empower us. Okay? Most of us are going to go to the bathroom at some point. I don't know about you guys, but usually when I poop, it takes at least 2 or 3 minutes. 2 or 3 minutes sometimes is all you need to do to make a shift. So if it's even in your pooping time and you're sitting there 2 to 3 minutes focusing on, oh man, I love this. When I do this, it makes me so happy. Fantastic. Use that time. Use that time, because every single piece of time we have is a resource that we can use to make it better, even the time when you go poop. Okay? And lastly, once you have it scheduled, you need to get accountability. Share it with friends, share it with family. You know, look at working with a trainer, work with a coach, join a group, whatever that is. Get yourself a resource, get yourself some people to help hold you accountable. Let them know your expectations of them, get the expectations, and make sure you're checking in and utilizing them. You guys, I promise you, if you do this stuff, you apply this stuff, you will go really quick from everything to just seeing that there's a few things, and you will be on that fast track to getting away from that and getting back to living a happier, more joyful, more empowering, more fulfilling life that you want. Okay, I know there's a little bit of a delay right now, so I'm going to take a sip of water and open it up for questions. You guys go ahead and start typing, and then I will start answering the questions as they come up. Thank you so much, you guys, for being patient and holding all your questions to now. High fives. Okay, questions. Oops. Okay, questions are coming in. I am turning 40 in a few months. Happy birthday. And I thought I'd be okay with it. As it's getting closer, though, I'm getting a little freaked out. What is it about the net number that affects some people? That's a great question, and you pretty much answered it. It affects some people. Age is a perception, and number is a perception, right? And it's what you're deciding that means. If you're determining the meaning of it, okay, everything, you guys, comes down to meaning. Everything comes down to meaning. And if we're giving 40 the meaning of, what is it we call it, over the hill or old or whatever the hell it is, that's what it's going to come down to. You know, it's kind of come down to meaning. We're not young anymore. I'm not this, I'm not that, I'm not capable, whatever it is. as opposed to looking at saying, wow, I've lived 40 years and I've learned so much, I can imagine what the next 40 years are going to be. Wow, I'm 40 years old and I feel like I'm 18. You know, I'm 40 and I can't wait to go into this next part of my life, taking all the great stuff I've learned to really maximize this next phase of life. Wow, I'm 40 and I'm so happy I survived those first few years of all the craziness and not knowing what the hell to expect. Now I can really make it, right? It all comes down to perception. It's the meaning we attach to it. So some people are going to attach a really negative meaning to it, and some people are going to attach a really powerful and positive meaning to it. The meaning that you attach to that is going to determine how you experience it. You know, and I'm sure, I can't say I'm sure, but I'd be willing to bet that at some point you had the same trepidations about maybe turning 38 or 37 or 30 or whatever it is, and things probably worked out okay. You're still here typing. So look at that as when you're turning 40, you have the opportunity now to go in the next decade of your life really making something special of it, and going into it with giving it the meaning that this next year is going to be my year. And I'm going to take everything I've learned from the previous 40 years to just maximize the heck out of these next 40 years and live a life that is so spectacular and inspiring that 25-year-olds and 30-year-olds and 20-year-olds and teens are going to be so envious and jealous about it that they're going to be so excited and can't wait to get to 40 because they're going to be able to live a life similar to mine. It's hard to be optimistic when I've been negative since childhood all my life. I've always had negative thoughts. I do not know how to be optimistic. Gracias. Okay, that's a great question. The fact that you can even post that and ask that shows that you have the ability to be optimistic. Because somebody who is a negative person and who cannot be optimistic would not be asking that. Would not be trying to seek out a resource, or would not be asking for help. Somebody who lacks optimism would not be on a chat like this, would not be spending an hour of their Sunday doing this. So the fact that you're doing this, the fact that you're making a priority, the fact that you're putting that out there in a public forum like this, that shows me that you have quite a bit of optimism inside of you. Not only that, but you're a person who seeks hope, seeks inspiration, because you want to make some shifts. So my best piece of advice I can give you is this: acknowledge what you're already doing. Acknowledge what you're already doing. Give yourself a new label, because part of the struggle is you're labeling yourself as negative since childhood. You've always been negative. You're not. You're optimistic. You're an optimist. And if you look at yourself as being the optimist that you are and acknowledge the fact that you're on here sharing and doing that, that's a much, much more empowering label than I'm the negative person. You're an optimist. Anna the Optimist. I hereby dub thee Anna the Optimist. Try it on. Right after we're done, go look in the mirror, stand in the mirror and look at yourself and just say it out loud. Anna the Optimist. I am Anna the Optimist. And I mean it. I'm not just joking around with this. And I encourage all of you to try this too. Go in front of the mirror for 3 minutes, just 3 minutes of your life, and sit there and with all the power and all conviction inside you, who are you? I am Anna the Optimist. I am Jesse the funny guy. You know, I am Bill the belly laugher. I am Megan the Magnificent. Okay, but just say it with passion and conviction. Stand up really tall. Don't sit there like this and say, "Hi, I'm Anna the Optimist. Boy, I feel really optimistic today." That does not work. You have to put the passion behind it. I am Anna the Optimist. Try it out and let me know what you think. I promise you, it'll make a huge difference. You are not a negative person. You're optimistic. So I, again, hereby dub thee Anna the Optimist. Thank you for sharing. Would you suggest even going as far as doing a gratitude journal daily to snap you out of it? I've done that for a while, but I've been slacking lately on it and noticed a difference in my life because of it. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you just answered your own question, right? If you notice that not doing it is affecting you, absolutely go back to doing it. You guys, if you find things that are working for you and you stop doing them and you notice that that's lacking, that's telling you something right there. It's like for me, if I were to stop exercising, I can tell right away if I miss a workout or something like that. I feel like shit. I feel like my whole being feels so different. My whole being feels so different. I have a journal I've been working on that I will, a blog that I've been working on, and I'm going to share with you all in the next few weeks. And it's going to be, a fairly full disclosure one about some parts of my life that I haven't shared before. I've kind of given hints about it, about some of the physical challenges I've been going through and some of the pain I've been in for the last few years. And I'm going to preface it right now and saying this is going to be a tough one for me to share because there's some pretty sensitive, uncomfortable stuff, and I've had to get past my own ego and my own perception of things to put myself out there in this way to share it, because again, it's really personal, it's really private. I'm going to do it because I want you all to hopefully see how it's affected me, to see the human part of me, but then also see like there's a part of me that's using all this stuff that I'm sharing with you all to try to continue to apply on myself to help myself get past that stuff and keep moving forward. So if you guys know for a fact there's a resource out there, that there's a strategy, there's a skill, there's a habit that you can do that helps you, by all means keep doing it. Keep doing it. How does the exercise accountability group work? Cost. Great question. And let me just say, before I answer, I love my exercise accountability group, and not because it's my group, because you guys, so a couple years ago when I had the idea of doing this, my intention was to make a group where there's like-minded people, everybody was motivated, a communal group around the world where people could be on there supporting each other, loving each other, sharing each other's successes, and encouraging each other when there's struggles. And you guys, it is seriously one of my favorite parts of my day is when I get on there and I go on there and I read the comments, I read the posts, I read things people are sharing. It's to see that come to fruition. It's so awesome. And so the way the group works is it's basically a group of like-minded people. You go on there and you just give each other accountability. There's a workout of the month that they can do that you can follow along. And we do weekly question and answers. We're starting to get to the point where we're putting together nutrition programs. There's all sorts of things. The group's really evolving right now. But the main thing you're getting from it is you're getting that supportive community. And that's really what it's about, is you're getting this really powerful, really supportive community. And I don't like to use the word cost because I don't think it really costs anything. There's an investment of $14 a month. The real cost is if you know that you need a resource like something like that, and you're not utilizing it. Well, what does that cost you? What does it cost you not to utilize the resources that are out there? What does it cost you not to make the changes? So $14 a month, which is less than 50 cents a day, it's a pretty good investment. And I don't think there's one member of that group who would say that investment has not been a solid, great investment for them. It's a really, really special thing. And I sincerely mean it. It's easily one of my favorite parts of my day, to be in there and interact with those people. Reaching your goals, you may experience emotional and other ups and downs. No matter how much you're involved in being accountable, what should one do to minimize this and continue their way forward? Great question. So, if you're experiencing ups and downs, okay, so let me before I answer that, and I'm gonna make a guess here about where you're coming from, and my guess is going to influence my answer for you. And if it's not in par with what you're expecting, then you can go ahead and type it, and then I'll readjust. There's different kinds of ups and downs in life. There are really traumatic ups and downs, like somebody significant leaving your life, a death, a breakup, a separation, a job loss, a traumatic illness, things like that. Those are things that happen. And then there's also ups and downs that are kind of self-imposed, the way we think, the way we feel, the way we choose to interpret things. Okay, so there are two different kinds of ups and downs. Life is always going to be filled with ups and downs. There's a roller coaster with it, right? We have to have the yin and yang. We have to have the dark to appreciate the light. We need to have contrast, and that's one of the greatest gifts of life, is the contrast, because we can never really appreciate love until we've had loss. If we only know love, we lose the ability to appreciate it at that deeper level. We can never know how wonderful it is to be healthy unless we've experienced something really bad, for something of being sick. All of us who have been sick before, who've had the flu, we've had those times when we're hanging over the porcelain god and just puking our guts out, and we're sitting there going, God, I feel so miserable. I never want to be sick again. I cannot believe how horrible I feel. I will promise I'll make some changes, take better care of myself. And we do for a little bit, and then as soon as time goes on, we forget what it felt like. Then we're right back to doing the same things that got us there before, right? So you have to remember what the ups and downs are. Are they actually things happening to you? Are they people leaving? Are they the really traumatic ones, or are they the self-imposed ones? Self-imposed ones, we just have to be honest with ourselves. You know, we have to be honest with ourselves and ask ourselves, well, why am I doing this to myself? Why am I doing this to myself, and what am I getting out of it? With the things that are happening in life, the big ones, the people leaving, people dying, job losses, whatnot, we got to remind ourselves that's part of life. And then again, the meaning that we're going to give to those experiences is going to be ultimately what guides us forward. You know, when somebody leaves our life, are we going to have that meaning be? Are we going to become the sadness of that, or are we going to allow ourselves to experience sadness and then realize that the amount of sadness we feel is reflective of the amount of love we feel for that person? Okay, so the meaning you ultimately decide to give to it is going to be the thing that's going to allow you to keep moving forward. Give yourself an empowering meaning, you're going to be able to move forward. You give yourself an unempowering meaning, you're going to find yourself stuck, and you're going to be in more of these down parts instead of the fun up parts of the roller coaster. Great question. And then if that wasn't exactly where you're going with it, just go ahead and type it, and I'll rephrase. Everyone says let the past stay in the past. How do you do that when wrong decisions in the past still affect you today? Okay, so awesome question. First thing, everyone says, okay, this goes back to the language that we're using, right? When we use things like everyone, and basically what we're doing is we're making the whole, basically all 7 billion plus people in the world are saying this. Okay, I'm gonna do something right now that's gonna really throw your reality off. I don't say that. I don't say let the past stay in the past. I think that it's important that we learn from the past. I think it's important that our past provides this amazing reference of things that we've learned from, things that we can grow from. Now, there's also parts of the past that we have to be willing to let go of moving forward in the present. Okay, there's also things in the past that we have to be willing to let go of to move forward in the present. What everyone says and what's important to you are two different things. If there are things that are still affecting you today, what's happening today is in the present. Okay, and if we're dealing with today's problems based on the past, it's going to be a challenge. We cannot amend for the past. We can't change the past. We can't go back and rewrite it, as much as a lot of us would like to. You guys, there are so many things I wish I could go back and change. I could redo. But ultimately, if I did that, I probably wouldn't be standing here in front of all of you talking with you all. Each decision has happened. Everything has happened for a reason. Even the way I'm talking with you today, all this stuff that I'm saying right now have been influenced by things that have happened in my past as recently as a couple hours ago. Okay, when I was working out this morning and I was thinking about some of the stuff I want to share with you all, there was a couple of things that popped up that I shared with you today that happened in my past, but I'm using them now in my present. Okay, so I'm not teaching you from the past, I'm teaching you from the present, but I'm using those things that I learned in the past as a resource. So your past is a resource. It really is. It's the ultimate map. It is the ultimate map. It's the ultimate thing that we can look at and say, okay, this is what happened in the past. This is what I've learned from. This is how I can use it. So your past has a lot of importance because you can learn from it. The problem with the past is when we don't learn from the past. So we look at it and we just dismiss it. And one of the worst things we can do is dismiss it. We should be willing to let go of things in the past. But remember, there's a roadmap for stuff. There's a roadmap. The past is a roadmap. And it can help guide us to the future, through the present into the future. Okay, how we interpret the past is going to dictate the present and the future. Is that helpful? And remember, it's not everyone. There's going to be some people, but everyone really is going to have a different opinion. They're going to have a different thing. It's just how you're going to ultimately interpret them in an effort to, again, make meaning of whatever meaning you're trying to make of things, if that makes sense. And again, you guys, those of you who are just writing general comments and not questions, I can see them, and I really appreciate you guys putting those out there and everything. And if I don't read them all out loud, it's not because I don't want to acknowledge them. I think they're awesome, and I think those will appear in the comments. And I encourage everybody to go back and read through the general comments because there's some good stuff that people are sharing. I just want to make sure I get to all the questions in the time we have today. Can different seasons affect people's moods? It's winter here in Melbourne, and I find I don't feel as happy as I do in the warmer months. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's countless studies that show vitamin D deficiency and lack of sunlight exposure, and how that can affect somebody's mood. I mean, there's countless studies that show people who live in better climate, quote unquote, nicer climates have lower rates of feeling sad and whatnot than people who live in overcast, cloudy climates. So there is definitely stuff to it. I mean, you guys, when I sit there and talk about bronzing and whatnot, you think I'm doing it just for the thing. No, I'm doing it for my health. And I'm doing it because I really enjoy it and I like being tan and I love going out in the sun and it just makes me feel good. So I'm doing it for my health. And I just like to say the word bronzing. So absolutely, that totally can. And if you know that seasons can affect you so much, again, you have to really kind of stockpile your resources to get through those seasons, because there's going to be seasons in life. And the times that I'm in really cold places, or I don't see the sun for a long time, or I don't see the ocean for a long time, I can get really bummed out. So I have to find resources for myself to help me stay in the way I want to stay, live in the way, keep the mindset I want to keep through those times. The great thing about seasons is you know when they're coming. It's not like it's a surprise, right? I'm in a point in my life where I'm reevaluating my friendships due to negative energies. I work with a friend who is negative. How do I deal with her at work if I don't want to be around that? That's a great question. That's a great question, and it's something that all of us have to deal with at some point. We cannot necessarily choose the people we work with or the environment we're going to be in, but again, we can choose how to interpret that. Her negative energy does not have any effect on our life unless we allow it to affect her life. We could look at her and say, gee, I really feel sorry for her. She just, she's missing out on so much because she's choosing this to be this way. Gee, I sure am grateful I'm not like that. Or, gee, this bitch is acting like this, and now I'm going to use how she's acting to justify me wanting to feel this way. Okay, people's negative energy does not need to affect us unless we choose to allow it to affect us. So at the end of the day, how the meaning again that we're going to make of that, how we're going to choose to interpret what she's doing, choose to interpret her behaviors, how we're going to ultimately allow her to look at us, is going to determine that. And I say this for all of us because there's going to be so many of us that have to deal with this on a day-to-day basis. Isn't it silly that those one or two people who create the negative energy, those one or two people who do that, we allow them to have so much influence in our life? When we do that, that's where we get to the everything, all the time, and never, right? Versus focusing on all the other things, or looking at those negative people and saying, wow, gosh, I'm so grateful, but I'm not like that. God, that lady, she can't even appreciate what a beautiful area she lives in. I feel sorry for her. I'm so happy that I'm not like that. Boy, she sure does have a stick shoved way up her ass. I'm sure happy I don't have that. Imagine what her proctologist bill is going to be like. Again, how we choose to interpret that, how we choose to allow those people to affect us is ultimately what's going to make a difference. You do not have to allow her to affect you, right? You get to choose the meaning of it, how you interpret it. Great question. Anna the Optimist, promise I will grasp this. Perfect, Anna. I want you to go on there, do it for at least 3 minutes afterwards, and share with us all what you experienced. What do you do when you do not have any support from families? So you go to your friends. And if you can't find supports from friends, you start looking for other resources. You guys, there are resources out there. This is where, again, I'm just using the Exercise Accountability Group as an example because we talked about it before. But it's a powerful example because there are resources out there. I know because I've worked with thousands of people from all around the world in all sorts of transformation, and I can tell you that a lot of people do not have the support system. I would say the majority of them do not have the ideal support system they'd like to have in their day-to-day life. They have a family that doesn't have a mindset that they have. The reason, they have people, the friends that aren't like that. And so they need to have those resources. They need to have an accountability. So I want to create a resource where people could go and utilize it and have that available for them. So if they didn't have it in their day-to-day life, they had it somewhere else. We have to have it. So when you don't have it in your day-to-day life, you got to go seek it elsewhere. Do some Google searches, do those things. Spend more time on the 1000 Challenge page. You guys, the 1000 Challenge community, I'm so impressed by the way it's growing and the way it's interacting, and people are on there commenting and posting stuff and everything else. when I post stuff on there, I encourage discussion to evolve, because the more you guys start talking about these things, the more you guys meet each other on there, the more it evolves. What's been really cool for me is I've seen several people have emailed me over the years and told me how they have met friends from different parts of the world through the 1000 challenge page or through something else that I offer, and now they've become really close friends. I saw a few of you on here when we first logged in telling each other hi, hey, how you doing? And you guys live in completely different countries, but you know each other because you've gone outside of your day-to-day geographic area and you've sought resources from other parts of the world. They are out there. You just have to open your mind and expand and look for them. Good question. How's the fat burner going? I think it's going pretty good. I think it's going pretty good. Well, it'll be interesting to see how everything looks. I'm going to post another photo tomorrow, and we'll see how this goes over the next month. But it's cool to do this. It's again, it's the accountability. Like, I'm posting the pictures and sharing them on there with everybody because it helps me be accountable. If I don't do that, then I'm just gonna. I probably honestly I wouldn't do it, or I wouldn't focus as much on it. So it's cool. Okay, we have time for a couple more questions. A couple more questions. Questions. Who's got some questions? Anything? Or has this just been so much information that you guys there's smoke coming out of your ears and your brains are going, whoa, overload, 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 overload. Overload, overload. So while we're waiting for a couple more questions, just let me recap what I was talking about in the beginning about trash days coming up in 2 weeks. Okay, so 2 weeks until trash day. Again, invite friends, family members, whoever. Make the time to do it. You guys, it's such a cool thing. Post your pictures of you cleaning up trash to the 1000 challenge page. I'll have more about that in the next couple weeks. 6 weeks to your greatest you signups for the registration for the reserve list, the RSVP list. You get to have access to it 3 days before. They'll go, if any spots are remaining, they'll go open to the public on the 28th. And the first meeting will be the following week. You guys, I encourage you, if you have any interest in this at all, you've ever thought about it, it's such a fantastic, phenomenal program. And it's a ton of fun. There's some really powerful insights and discoveries that go through it, and it really is. I think there's quite a few people that have gone through it that in 6 weeks they really were able to get to their greatest you, or at least a you they hadn't experienced for a long time. And so if you want to be on the RSVP list for it, send me an email, let me know. And then people have asked about when the next Flat Belly Challenge is. There will be another one probably in September, beginning of October. That will be the last one of the year. So if you're looking for something like that, you want an opportunity to do a cool challenge with 30 like-minded people, that's going to be coming up, in the next month and a half or so. How do you deal with loneliness even if you're surrounded with the resources you mentioned? You have to focus on the resources and the loneliness. When you are dealing with loneliness, when we say something like deal with loneliness, that is acknowledging that loneliness is there, and it's putting loneliness as more of a powerful focus than the resources that we have. So we're taking the resources, and which is all these, and we're minimizing them down to here, and we're taking this one little thing called loneliness and we're blowing it up to here. Okay, and then what happens is when loneliness becomes so big, we get back into that everything all the time, never mentality. When you have all those resources at your disposal and loneliness is this big thing, it means that you're not using the resources. You're not utilizing the resources, because if you utilize those resources all the time, you'll realize that there's really not that loneliness. Okay, because loneliness is something that comes when there's not the feeling of fulfillment, of love, of joy, of all those things inside of us. And when we're using those resources to fill those things in there, we'll never be lonely because we can look in the mirror and we see the person in there, and we can open up and look at them and say, I am Anna the Optimist. And we can love that back. And then when we have that, there's no loneliness exists. Loneliness doesn't exist. Make sense? Great question. We'll do 3 more questions. How many hours of sleep do you get at night? It depends. However many I need. There will be some nights where I'll sleep maybe 4. There are some nights where I'll sleep 6. I find my sweet spot is right about between 5 hours and 45 minutes and 6 hours. Every now and then I might get one where I'm about 7. So I used to be that guy. I used to be that guy that said I had to get 8 because I had been told that I need to get 8 or 9, and that to be healthy, to be happy, to function, all that nonsense, I had to get 8 or 9 hours of sleep. So what I would do is about an hour before it's time to go to bed, I'd start stressing out about how to go to bed, how to go to bed, how to go to bed. Because if I didn't go to sleep, I was going to wake up tired, I was going to wake up tired, I was going to wake up tired because I wasn't getting 8 hours, So guess what would happen? I'd go to sleep, my mind would be running crazy, I wouldn't fall asleep right away, I would toss and turn and be stressed out about not sleeping. And then when I'd finally get up about 8 hours later, I'd wake up feeling tired, I'd wake up feeling exhausted, I'd wake up feeling run down. And I would tell myself the reason is because I didn't go to sleep at a time when I could get the full 8 hours. So I stressed myself out about it. And when you're doing that, you're never going to allow your mind to quiet down to give yourself really restful sleep. One day I decided, you know what, I want to have more time, I want to have more energy. I've been reading about a lot of people who really thrived off of less than 6 hours of sleep, some who would get down in the 4s and the 5s, and I thought, well, how? If they can do it, I can do it too. Because I was basing that whole concept off of what I'd been taught, which is this. So it took me a while to train myself to do it, and what I did is I started just getting up 15 minutes earlier from what my normal wake-up time was. And after a few months, when I get comfortable with that, I moved back 15 more, and so on, until finally I was down where I could do less than 6 hours, and I felt amazing. And even more than that, what was really cool is if I got to the point where I felt really overtired, I could literally shut my eyes for 3 minutes in the middle of the day, just kind of relax, wake up, and be fully recharged. So sleep, what people are sitting there telling you is important and what you have to have, don't take everybody as an expert, right? There's study upon study that can prove anything. You have to go with what's right for you. A lot of those things happen because I think so many people, they say 8 hours because so much of our sleep is wasteful sleep because we all go to bed with so much crap going on in our head. Okay, we have to, if you go to sleep with a happy heart and an empty mind, I think you're going to sleep a lot more soundly. You're going to find you don't. And think about think about this. Have you ever gone to bed at night and you were so excited and you felt really tired, but you're so excited for what was coming up tomorrow? And you'd wake up and you never even thought about how tired you were. Like little kids on Christmas. Little kids on Christmas Eve, they have a hard time going to sleep because Santa's going to come, right? And those are the same little kids that a lot of times, weeks before that, you struggle to wake them up to go to school. But boy, on Christmas morning when Santa's going to come, they're up early. You don't see the slightest bit of sleep in their eyes, and they have a ton of energy. They cannot wait to rip through all those presents. They cannot wait to rip through all those presents because they are so excited because they're not thinking about being tired anymore. Okay, you think about things that people talk about. This is an interesting example I was using with a client the other day. And when people they have trepidations about buying a new computer, or they have trepidations about buying a new car, or investing in something. And so when they go in there thinking about, oh man, I don't know if I should do this, I don't know if I should do this, I don't know if I should do this, it changes the whole experience for them. And they go in there stressed and out of it. But if they go in there focusing on the times that they invested in themselves in the past, and they saw really positive results, really positive return from it, the happiness it brought them, the joy it brought them, the experience it brought them, guess what happens? They go in there and the whole experience is different. It becomes this exhilaration, it becomes this excitement of getting a new car, or getting a new computer, or whatever it is, or getting a new outfit. It's not stress. But if we go in there thinking about the stress of it, guess what we get? We get stress. So you have to remind yourself of that. Give yourself those resources of what it felt like to invest in yourself and do something really well. What did it feel like to wake up on Christmas morning and be excited and not have to have all that sleep? Right? What did it feel like to do something really, really positive for yourself and then experience an unlimited amount of bountiful and joyful return from it? Okay? One more question and we'll wrap it up. One more. Anybody else have any other questions? It doesn't look like it. Okay, so you guys, we'll wrap it up here. Happy World Cup Finals Day if anybody's watching it. I will certainly be watching it. Yes, thank you all for joining in today, for participating, for asking the questions, for all your awesome comments and feedback. I really appreciate it. And just a couple things to wrap it up. One, if you guys still find yourself struggling with this everything mentality, or trying to break away, or you feel like you could use some help or some extra accountability, email me. We can talk about doing coaching for it. This is something that coaching can work wonders through in helping you get through. I have worked with lots and lots of clients who have been stuck in that, and it's amazing the breakthroughs we can have in a really short time. And it literally transforms their life and their outlook on things and how they think, how they feel. And it allows them to experience life in a whole new way. So again, use me as a resource. Send me an email and we can talk about it. Lastly, if you guys feel this video has been of value to you, please, 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 please share it with your friends, share it with your family. You guys, when you like and comment things on YouTube, when you share it on YouTube, that only helps me get my message out to more people. So I really, really appreciate it from the heart when you all do that, and I just want to thank you all for it, because it's definitely something you don't have to, and I can't say it enough how much it means to me. And those of you who have helped the 1,000 challenge page, we're on the cusp of hitting 40,000. I really think that we could hit 50 at the end of this year, and I'm just putting it out there into the universe that that's kind of my big goal for it. So again, those of you who are sharing, those of you who are liking, those of you commenting, the more you do that, the more it's just going to help our cool little community grow, and the bigger the difference that we can all make. And so again, share this video if you find value in it. Share the 1,000 challenge page if you find value to it. Send friends, send family members over them. I've had a couple clients tell me in the last few weeks they've had conversations with them and use the same conversation. Hey, there's this Jesse guy out there, and I think you should check him out. That's basically what they say. Okay? And we'll do another one of these next month. I'm looking forward to seeing pictures from Trash Day in 2 weeks. Yeah, I'm really, really excited about that. So again, make it a community event. Get some friends, get some family members out there. Or if you don't, just go out there solo and take some pictures, share it. You guys, the little things that we do every day are going to make the biggest difference on the road. And you know, you guys have heard me say this over and over again for the last few years, but from my heart, I really believe that we can make the world a better place. And the way that happens is by doing these little things. You know, you look at, once upon a time, our little community was a community of one, and now we're up to about almost 40,000. So in a short time, we've really, really, really grown. And you just imagine, like, this is the ripple effect in action, you guys, and we're all living it, we're all experiencing it. So keep doing those little things, and it's just going to allow us to keep doing more wonderful things. So again, from the heart, you guys, thank you so much, everybody, for being here. Thank you for taking your time on a Sunday. I hope those of you who are watching the World Cup today have a fun time watching it. I can't wait, and then I'm going to be in mourning. That's going to be 4 more years until the World Cup happens. And I look forward to chatting with you all again. Okay, thank you. Have a awesome one, guys.